Hi, thank you for joining me today. I'm Sandra at artypapercrafters.com, and my project tutorial for you today is a very useful one. It is a DVD or even a stamp set holder. So if you're going to gift people DVDs for Christmas, I know that my son seems to have a never-ending list of DVDs that he wants for Christmas, and I seem to make a lot of these. And they are useful, and if you've got a fellow crafter, it's perfect to fit a stamp set into. So I'll show you how I made that with a belly band, which just slides off, and inside is a stamp set that I have put in because I didn't want to put my son's Christmas present in yet, in case he should be watching my video. I know, chance to be a fine thing. Anyway, let's get on with that. Yes, I think I'll put that on later. So let's crack on with it. Just to mention, my poinsettia was made with the Festive Flower Builder punch, which is on offer at the moment, but it makes the most beautiful poinsettia and I just love it. You can make it in any colour you wish. This one here is a very glittery one made with black and white glimmer paper, and it's very, very shiny indeed, as you can see. So you can make them any colour you like, even though it's a festive flower. Choices and possibilities are endless, but let's crack on with making it today. So today I'm using this designer paper, which is the designer papers that stack, which are, you get 40 sheets in the stack for £20, and let me just get one to show you what they look like. This is the Subtles Designer Series paper stack. You get 40 sheets of 12 by 12 inch and beautiful, beautiful colours, 12 by 12. So you can create so many projects with these, and they are such lovely colours. You can get them in the Regals colours, the Neutrals colours, which are your browns, blacks, creams, brights colours, so they do them in a lot of the shading, but so much for your money, so much for your money. So let's put that to one side and get on with our make. So today we are going to use the envelope punch board, and I'm going to use the dotty side, as they say. And what I've done on my punch board is, when I work out the sizes for things, I've stuck it on the back because it's so annoying if you can't locate how to make things. So this is cut, let me just write this down, because once I've turned it over I shan't know my measurements, will I? So this is cut at 10 3/4 by 10 3/4, and we are going to score it at 4 1/8. So you punch and score down, and you'll find that it won't reach to the end of your paper. So what you do is you turn it over and you line it back up here, over here at the 4 1/8 inch mark, and you just join that back up to there, and you'll find that your score now goes almost to the bottom, which is good enough. Opposite side, no, carrying on. So 4 1/8, get your act together, Sandra. 4 7/8, and punch and score. Same thing again, turn it over to the other side, line it up at 4 7/8, just over here, and just join your line up there. Then we're going to the opposite side, 4 1/8, punch and score. Same thing, turn it back over, line it up at 4 1/8, and score. to join that up, back over 4 7/8. Where am I? 4 7/8. Punch and score. Same thing, flip it back over to 4 7/8 and just join up that line. Then we're going to the other side, and where we've now got our lines coming across, that tells us now where we need to score. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think you can very well on this paper, but my score lines run across here and there. I think that you can see that now. So that's where my score lines are. So we're now going to line that up with the first score line, and you'll see that your paper now comes off the edge. That is correct. Punch and score. Move it along to the next line, which is here. Punch and score. Turn it over to the opposite side where our line is, which is here. Punch and score. Move it down to the next line, which is here. Punch and score. And now we round off our corners. Oops. Got to have rounded off corners. So that's the scoreboard, and now we're going to gently fold and burnish our lines. So just gently fold those. All the way along. So if you're thinking, my goodness, what has that woman done with her nails today? I've taken my colour off because I'm going to a wedding this weekend, and I don't want my nail varnish to go yucky too quickly, so I want it to be fresh, so I'm not going to do them until later this week. But I'm sure none of you mind. I'm sure that you're really just looking at what I'm making. Well, I hope you are. So these ones along the bottom here, we just cut up to that first score line here because we want to keep those. But the ones at the top here we're going to get rid of. We don't need to keep those. Now I'm going to use my stamp set, Blooms and Bliss. We're just going to pretend that that is our gift. Fold our little corners in board. And then I'm going to use Fast Fuse. You can use any sticky tape you wish. Push that in. And it's best if you put your DVD in at this point, because you need to have something to press against. So make sure that that's all squared up nicely and that our edges are tucked in. And then press that down and we have like a neat envelope shape, and that is our box made. And now we need to do the belly band for that. So for the belly band I've got some Wild Wasabi cardstock, which I have cut at, one piece I've cut at 11.5 by 2.5 inches, and this little piece here is cut at 1 3/4 by 2.5 inches, because that's going to be tacked on, because my sheet of A4 wasn't quite long enough. But we're going to score this. Oops. Let me just bring you out a bit because I don't think you can see what I'm doing. That's better. So on the long side we are going to score this cardstock at 2 inches, 2 9/16, which means that I need to have scored it. So I'm going to just go in between. So that would have been 8/16. So I've moved this away slightly and I'm now going to score that. No, I'm not. Goodness sakes. I don't know. Right, let's put it in this Stampin' Up trimmer. So we've scored it at 2 inches. Let's get rid of that before we start cutting it. We've scored it at 2 inches. Now we're going to score it at 2 9/16. Then we're going to score it at 8 1/8 inches. 8 1/8 inches. And then we're going to score it at 8 5/8 inches. That's it. That's the scoring done. Put that away. And then fold and burnish the lines we've made. Whoops. So now you will see that that goes across here like that, and we are short of our piece, which is here. So I have done this so that this is at the front, and what we're going to do is we are going to get our fuse and stick some along that edge and then join up about 1/2 inch, and then we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to put our glue on here like that, and making sure that you've got a bit of what I call wiggle room to slide this back off again. We are then going to secure that down, and that then slides across nicely. We now need to stamp out our sentiment. So let's move that all to one side. Now I've cut out with my scalloped tag topper punch for the sentiment, but then I realised, well, as I've hidden it under there, it's probably not necessary that you cut it out with a scallop tag topper punch. You could just cut it and round a straight piece and round the corners. I think that would be fine. And I'm using the Oh What Fun stamp set, and I've already prepped up on my block. Do not open until Christmas. Lovely sentiments on here, and little baubles and holly that you can stamp on your projects too, and I think that's a really lovely stamp set. So let's get our Wild Wasabi ink and our Real Red ink. So I've stamped in the middle. Let me just get that. Stamped in the middle. I'm going to stamp in the middle of the sentiment. Do not open until Christmas. Press that down. That looks good. And then what I've done here is I've got my to and my from, and decided where I want it on my tag, and I'm going to put that about there, and then my from here, and then I've got this long block and mounted it like that so that I've got both of them being stamped out at the same time. And we'll put that down on there. And that looks good. And then I got the little tiny bauble onto my block. And because there's green leaves at the top and the little bells at the bottom, I decided I would do this half. So can you see where at the top I have just put the top of the greenery into the stamp pad to get my green, and then turn it over and put my little baubles into the pad like that. And I don't think it's super critical that whether it's sort of perfect. And then we'll huff on it, and then I've put that into the corner. Good, eh? So let's move that out the way. We don't need the ink anymore. And then I've already prepped up my poinsettia, and I decided this time, when I find out, what did I do with that ribbon? Oh, here it is. I cut this ribbon, and I thought that that would look pretty running round there. My scissors, I'm going to straighten that up, and then cut a length off, I'm going to secure that with a glue dot. Couple of glue dots on here to secure this down when they want to stick. So pull that round there and secure that there. And that poinsettia is going to go on there. I think that looks beautiful. And then we've got our sentiment that we're going to push off at an angle like that. So work out where we want our sentiment and get our dimensionals, a couple of those, and put a couple of those down the side and attach it to our red one, like that. And then we're going to fix that on there with a dimensional. And that is going to go there so that we can write on our tag. And then we're going to stick a couple of dimensionals on our cone setter. I think we're going to go for 3. I don't know why I'm fiddling about so much. That goes on there, secure that down. And I think you'll agree that that really is very pretty. So let's bring in our original one and try and slide that on there. Right, that's that done. And I think that they make lovely gifts, lovely decorated gifts. So that's my project for today. If you should need any more details, please pop over to my blog, which is artypapercrafters.com. And if you'd like to purchase any of the Stampin' Up products, please go to artypapercrafters.com, go online shop. I'd be extremely grateful if you could purchase through me. And until the next time, it's bye for now. Bye.